Well, tell me
Anyway,
about CBGB. Is this the show that you came
yeah,
back to play?
yeah. So
I thought I had this, but I guess I just remember looking at it at your merch booth.
I'll hook you up.
Oh,
Um,
cool. Thanks.
uh, so of course, oh, it's Christmas, you know.
Oh,
Um, so
I'll send you some CDs if you want.
yeah, okay, we'll trade. That's a
Yeah,
good. It's a
I
good
like
policy.
trade.
What were yeah, CBGB. So I came up to I came up and I stayed at my friend's place on the Bowery, and he knew he knew me really well, and he knew how much trouble I was having health wise, and so he was like, you stay here with me, and I'll watch out for you, whatever. And I had a couple other friends that came and like were kind of, I was always with a friend while when I was back. And it was really cool because people were actually concerned, and it was nice to have that, and just to be able to have the opportunity to come back. And so my friend Nick Taylor, who is a photographer, and he's also a DJ, and I know you probably want to talk about Ram, so that's how I met Ram,
That's
from this
I'm
guy.
getting there.
So
Yeah. Okay. Great. Let's talk
yes,
about
so
Ram.
we'll
Yeah.
get back to that. And Nick is an early DJ in like the late '70s, and he did stuff and played some of the same big early hip hop parties like Africa Bambaataa and Cool Herc, and
Hmm.
on and on and on and on. It's
So the
unbelievable.
originals. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's called the Original High Priest. That's his DJ name, and
Gotcha.
it was actually given to him by High Priest was his nickname from yeah, he's there in the middle between me and Ram. That's the Rammellzee right there. So Nick was the High Priest, and that name was given to him by Jean-Michel Basquiat. So
Right. Which Rammellzee was like made music and art with all the time.
yeah, they were friends, and so Nick and Jean were friends, and also Michael Holman, and the three of them were also in Gray, and then also Vincent Gallo was in that,
Oh wow.
and a couple other
I haven't heard that
members.
name in a minute.
Yeah, so
We're
I had
spanning
met,
time. Sorry.
yeah, Spanning Time, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Buffalo '66. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I like that film actually.
Yeah, it was fun.
What was I gonna say? So I met Nick through Michael Holman, and then those were my friends. So like when I came back up, I got this offer to do the CBGB show, and I asked Nick if he would DJ for me and like kind of make some noise while I played guitar. And so
Mm.
we did that, and it was really cool. Except I had made him all these beats that I was using. Well, we had a drum machine that I was using, and then because of the I guess maybe this was after the band that I had put together fell apart. I guess I'm not really sure. That's something I should. I don't know
Well,
if
you
it
moved away
must.
and then you came
Yeah.
back. You probably didn't have your band anymore, right?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't. I just came back up. Oh yeah, because of my whole hospital stay in there. Yeah. So the band was, I guess. Well, we might have done some stuff after that when I went back down. But anyway, it doesn't
Hmm.
really matter. It's too confusing. I don't even know clearly. So Nick and I played CBs, and I had made him a CD of stuff to scratch. And that was like my samples and stuff. And we did a practice the night before on Ludlow Street, like in the downstairs, like practice room, whatever that place was called.
Hmm.
And everything was great. We were like, man, this is gonna be awesome. And then we go, and as soon as he starts scratching on the CD, it won't play. And so he threw it into the crowd,
Oh no.
which was not a very big crowd. But there had been a band. There were like a bunch of different bands that night, and one of them was like a ska band or something, and a ska punk band, and they had given away a CD. And so there was one on each table or something. So there were like a
Hmm.
few like little tables. And so Nick jumped off the stage, grabbed that, and was
Oh
scratching that
wow.
while we played. It was hilarious.
Do you remember
And
the name of the band? The ska
I
band?
have no idea.
Oh man, that's funny. I wonder if I knew them.
It was like a free CD, and I don't know. So he was doing that, and we were running the drum machine, and I was playing guitar and screaming in the microphone or something. But it was actually a really good show, and we got invited back. Except, CBGB started to close, and then that's when everyone wanted to play. So you had these big shows
Right.
with like Smith and stuff.
Yeah, I saw Bad Brains the last week of CBGB's.
Did you really? Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we just showed up. We didn't have tickets, but we were just like, yeah, all right, you guys can come in.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They should have been. It should have been an open door sort of policy. Like,
well, I mean, it was like sold out, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of like a crime that CB's actually closed in a way, but
should be a landmark.
yeah.
I mean, I'm glad I made it there a couple times. I never got to play there, but I did walk into that bathroom, you know, so I had that experience.
Well, at least you can buy shoes there now, you know.
Yeah, at the John Vervato store. Yeah.
It's
I obviously it's a high-end fashion place, but at least he preserved some of the original CBGBs, you know. Give him credit for that, I guess.
I don't know. I don't know what to say about it.
Let's go back and talk about Rammellzee.
Okay, yeah.
Just to break it up a little bit. Tell me
Okay,
what happened with Rammellzee. And can you describe what Rammellzee is, who he is, for anyone who might not know?
Yeah,
because that's like an interesting conversation in itself.
Yeah, well, there's probably been a long conversation about that. I'll try to make it pretty simple. The Rammellzee is an equation, is what he would want someone to tell you. But you'll have to look up that stuff. Rammellzee, for simplicity's sake, is an artist from New York, but he's also, sort of a being from another time period or something. I'm
going to play this in the background just because I love it so much. And this is kind of where I know him from.
He was a early graffiti writer.
You're sideways now. Did we lose you? Oh, well, we're going to keep watching Praxis until he comes back. Oops. Anyways, the guy in the crazy suits is, uh-oh. Let's see if Blake comes back. That's Bootsy Collins, of course. Yes. The guy in the crazy suits, costumes is Rammellzee. That guy.
Check the reaction, baby. Negative.
This is Praxis, the project with Buckethead and Brain. It's not Rammellzee's music, but he was part of this project. I don't know. I think the aliens might have gotten him. We're gonna see if he comes back, hopefully. What's going on out there? You keep asking this. My sister wanted to ask you a question. What does bueno chica mean in Spanish? Is this another joke? Good chick? I'm not sure. Oh, I'm sure they will return him when they're done. Hope I don't get kicked off YouTube for this, playing this one. I don't think so. Maybe we'll play an Aliens video. You want to see an Aliens video while we're waiting to see if Blake comes back? Maybe his phone died. He's on his phone, so. It could have been Guar. Well, they could exist in a parallel universe, I suppose. There he is.
Hey, I'm back. I don't know what happened.
We thought the aliens got you.
Yeah, they did long ago. Um,
And we've been entertaining ourselves watching this old Praxis video with Ram
cool.
in it.
Yeah, there's some cool footage in here. Yeah, so anyway, what was I saying? So Rammellzee was a pioneering, well, he was an early graffiti artist. He was a painter, sculptor, costume maker, just artist with a capital A. Um,
Here,
he,
I got actually I was lucky enough once to see him perform. I
oh,
didn't
cool.
know he was going to be performing, but these are some photos I took.
Oh, great.
It was 2004 at the Bowery Ballroom with
Awesome.
Buckethead.
No way.
Yeah, and he kind of just like took over the show.
Yeah, Buckethead used to do this thing where he had a place on I feel like it was near like the Hell's Angels. The Bucket had a place on maybe like East 4th Street between
Really? He lived in New York?
at least part of the time because he
Huh.
had a storefront that had a little window that the windowsill was like a foot long. It was like recessed or whatever, and he put a little light in there, and he would play his music and like sort of air guitar to it with
Wow. This is a
bucket on
Buckethead story
in
I've
the
never
window.
heard before.
It was unbelievable, and I saw him do it multiple times. I was just walking by, and one of the times I was like showing a friend around, and I was like, yeah, and it had like a little thing, a little plaque, and it said like the Buckethead or something like that.
Wow. I've never heard that about him.
Yeah, and I think it had like a little speaker that went outside, and it was like kind of quiet, like music in a tin can, kind of a.
Did you know him at all?
I didn't. I did not know him, but those performances I saw him at somewhere else, maybe the Knitting Factory maybe the old Knitting Factory. Oh, actually, you know what? I might have seen him also at. I don't know if he played. No, he might. I don't know if he played Santos Party House. I feel like he played somewhere.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that was before. That was
That was,
after.
yeah.
So I don't know where it would have been, but
He's been playing like BB King's for years, and now he plays at Sony Hall. But before that, he was at Bowery Ballroom a bunch of times.
cool. Yeah, I didn't
And
know that he did.
unless he was in a group, but I know like Praxis played like somewhere in Dumbo back in the early 2000s and stuff like that. Oh, you know what? Praxis may have played the Knitting Factory once.
Oh wow.
Oh, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that one.
Well, see, but you got to see Buckethead and Rammellzee at the same time.
Yeah. Isn't that nuts?
I had no idea that it even happened. That's very
Yeah,
cool.
he just like, I mean, it was a Buckethead show, and I guess he just showed up with his costume, and like,
I mean,
if you show up to a Buckethead show and you're friends of the Bucket, he just throws you on stage, I guess.
that's pretty wild. I mean, well, obviously Ram planned it out because he's wearing the full costume.
Yeah.
Sometimes he would put on his costumes and just roller skate around town. So you
Right.
never.
That's great. Yeah, but I'm so glad that I got to see that in my lifetime, in his lifetime.
I mean, I would have liked to have seen that.
I didn't even really know who he was. I kind of recognized the costumes because of the Praxis video, but I didn't really know who he was. This was back in 2004, so like almost 20 years ago.
Yeah. Wow, that's very cool that you saw that just randomly.
Yeah, and so those are pictures that I took.
But yeah, so Rammellzee is a really fascinating entity, and so we were gonna try to figure this. Okay, so I knew Michael Holman, and he introduced me to Nick Taylor, and they were in Gray, and then so that's me and Rammellzee and Nick Taylor in Venice, and in 2006 at the Biennale, Rammellzee was playing, and so Nick called me and to see what I was doing in my studio that I still had in Texas, but I was going back and forth a lot in that time, and that's when I also first got the van, and I was going back and forth between New York and and Austin, and I was recording a lot and working on music and getting my record label, which was called Miscellaneous Music, and is now just now called Severed Lake Productions, because it was originally
Look
called.
what I have.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
And I'm wondering, is every track just you under a different name?
Yeah, not really. That's not
No.
true. But there are a bunch. So see, there's a bunch of my noise tracks, my noise music that is, that, and some of the noise bands that we did. That, like, one was called Hookah Thief and one was called Channel Catfish Audio, for instance. They were on there with that I did with my friend Paul
DJ High Priest, Rammellzee.
Yeah. And, yeah.
I mean, I can say, besides Aliens and Rammellzee, I have never heard of any of these bands
well, that was
before.
kind of also that, like, I was trying to, like, represent, like, these weird, interesting artists from both New York and Austin, and and it might have worked, but maybe it will still work now, but just under a different name. But
I wonder if I know any of these people now that I can look at the credits, and sometimes I open things and I'm like, oh, I know that guy, like Martin Beastie. Like, I had his records before I knew who he was,
Well, yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable how many records he's recorded. But
yeah.
What was I gonna say? So anyway, that's how. So I met Ram because through
Hunt Sales.
Yeah. So that's an Austin connection musician as well, and I hope I see him while I'm down here. But Hunt played drums on 3 Alien songs.
Is this the same Sales from, like, Iggy Pop and David Bowie?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's Hunt Sales. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, he's super cool.
And Tin Machine.
Let me insert here while we're talking about.
Oh, my brothers. I've attracted my brother into the chat by talking about the Sales Brothers. No, okay, Tony.
Well, here I'm gonna pull it all together, and then we'll go back to the Rammellzee.
Okay.
So after CBGBs and all that stuff, and I was playing music and kind of going back and forth between Austin and New York, and I bought a used van and started going back and forth all the time because I had rented a van out of necessity a couple times, and so I bought the van. I was, doing this seriously or whatever, and then I was driving on an early tour in, I guess, 2006, going up to New York, and I stopped at Sun Studios, and the girl working there was like, "You guys have to be a band," and we were like, "Yeah." And I had a friend of mine named Andy was playing drums, and she said, "Well, that's really cool. You look like you might want to eat something. There's really good food at the gas station across the street. Come back in 20 minutes. I'm going to be doing the tour. And you guys can come for free." And so we were like, awesome. And we got some food, and we came back over, and we got to go on this tour for free. And then eventually during the tour, you end up in the recording studio, and she's like, "Well, Elvis liked to record right there. There's an X spray painted on the floor where he stood, and that was his favorite, acoustic spot. And you get to see all the old gear and everything. It's unbelievable." And she said, "Well, most people don't realize it, but at 6:00 this closes and is not a museum. And actually, we record bands here." Yeah. And so Andy and I looked at each other, and I scheduled studio time on the trip back after going and playing shows in New York.
Nice.
And so
guest of the show, Velvetina Taylor, just recorded there. So I don't know if it's out yet, but I saw some pictures, and I know on the show I was like, "You should record some original music." And look, she left me behind and went to Sun Studios for it. But good. I'm excited to hear it.
It's a great experience. So actually, my friend Andy didn't record with me, but I picked up the original Aliens drummer, Tamaki Yui. He's a Japanese drummer from Tokyo, but he lives in New York City. Oh, actually, he doesn't anymore. Tam lives in California, but anyway, I met him hanging out at Green Street Studios, and then he was my first drummer, and so he rode back with me to Memphis, and we recorded there, and he loved that because he was like a huge Elvis freak.
Mhm.
And so that was a really unbelievable experience for both of us. And we recorded 6 songs in one night, and that became like, kind of the bulk of the Head First album that you showed before. And so that's how that started. And then I had to finish it, and I went back to Austin, and a friend of mine recommended Mark Younger-Smith, who worked with like Billy Idol actually, and some other
Okay.
people. And they said, hey, he has a private like home studio, and I think you guys could work together or whatever. So I ended up meeting Mark, and he was like, yeah, I think I can help you do what, get the sound you want and finish up these songs. And so that's what we started working on. And while we were working on Hunt, while we were working on it, Mark said, hey, I'm going to get Hunt Sales to come in here and play, because I was having drummer problems because Tam lived in New York and couldn't be there. And I was having trouble with people. One of the drummers.
Drummers are always a problem. If you're in a band like us, you know.
Yeah, it's sort of it's a Spinal Tap type joke, right? So, but one of
There's
my drummers
truth. The Spinal Tap's funny because there's elements of truth in it.
Yeah, exactly. So one of my drummers literally became agoraphobic and like could not go outside. He like lived at home with his mom. It was like very weird, and at first I thought it was sort of a joke, and then I was like very concerning. It was like you don't want to go anywhere or do anything, and that was very strange. And I don't know what has
Yeah,
happened.
can't play shows like that.
No, and he was a good drummer too. And it just happened all of a sudden. He was like, he wanted to play. He was very into it, and then all of a sudden, one day, nothing happened. Like I have no idea what happened. He just suddenly was like, I don't want to play. But then also the crazy thing was that he didn't want to go out and socialize with anyone. It was very strange. I don't know what happened, but anyway, so strange things would happen like that, or people just decide, oh, being in a band is a lot of work and I don't want to do it, or I fell in love with this girl and I want to move with her to wherever she's moving to, et cetera, et cetera. So I was like, well, I want to finish these songs. I was working with Mark in his studio, and he kept making this joke, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to get Hunt Sales to come in and play some drums for you. And I'd be like, great joke. Like, maybe we could find somebody I could actually work with. And then anyway, one day, Hunt Sales actually showed up, and he was like, hey, yeah, Mark's been telling me about you. Play a song. So we played Committed to Win for him, and he was like, hell yeah, this is good. He was hilarious. He was just great. We hit it off immediately, and he was going to play 2 songs and ended up playing 3 songs, and one of them is on the new EP, which is Enjoy Playtime, which an earlier version of it is on the sampler you were showing. So we can get to the EP later, but
I don't know. Anyway, I have this one.
That it's not on that one, but
okay.
Yeah, it's not on. But it doesn't really matter. So then as I was doing that project, and I was also doing miscellaneous music.
This one.
The third track on that is Enjoy Killing Time. That's Hunt Sales on it. And then 2 of the songs on the Head First album, the blue one with the diver, Guinea Pig and Survivor Story, he played drums on. And so that's really cool. And Hunt's awesome.
Get It Now. It just came out, the EP.
Yeah.
Singles 2007 to 2022. Is that correct?
Yeah. Thanks. That thing came together pretty well. It's actually kind of a weird. I don't know. I'm happy with it, and of course Martin recorded the first 2 songs in there, and it's cool working with Martin
right. I wanted to ask you where you met him too, but oh my God, we're like crossing so many stories right now. Martin BC, guest on the show. We're gonna talk about him in a little bit.
Yes. So I'm going back and forth. I recorded this stuff, and I was finishing it up in Austin with Mark and with Hunt Sales, and then that was all working well, and so this all segues perfect actually, because so it was 2006 I think, and I told I was working in my studio one night, and Nick called me, Nick Taylor from the band Gray / the DJ that worked with Rammellzee. And he said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm packing to go to Europe." And he was like, "That's what I'm doing. I'm going to play the Biennale, and we're going on tour, like him and Rammellzee." And he was like, "Oh, you're going to Italy to see your brother?" And I was like, "My brother was doing this project in Italy." And so we made a plan that we would meet, and I would go see him and Ram at the Biennale. And so that's actually what we did. And then they wanted me to go on tour, but I ended up staying in and not doing that, which it would have been amazing to have done that. But so I got to see Ram's performance there, and I videotaped it. And
Did he have the costumes and everything?
he had a masks that he brought with him, but he didn't bring the full I mean, they were traveling and everything.
Right. Yeah, that would be tough to. Those would be tough to ship to England or.
Yeah,
whatever.
and they were on tour, and so like every night, he would, as he would sweat and use the costumes, they would like start to fall apart. And so I had like a really amazing, like one night with him where after the Biennale performance, he wanted to drink, and I was the only one that could kind of keep up with him. So, and we went to a deli that had closed, and somehow convinced the guy to sell us literally like kind of like a milk crate full of all the beer we could fit into it.
Oh man.
And then we took that back to the hotel room, and so while I was drinking, he was re-gluing together his costume pieces with goop. He had like carried this giant tube of goop. That was the glue that he kind of endorsed or whatever. And we stayed up all night, and he was fixing stuff, and we were drinking all night. And he was also looking through I had all these portfolios of drawings that I had brought with me, or I was actually adding to them, of course, and like drawing in the trains there and stuff. And we had this really amazing long conversation about my artwork, which was like kind of unbelievable. It's one of the most amazing conversations I've ever had about my own artwork.
Great. We can talk a little bit about that too, because I got some of that to show.
Well,
I don't know. I'm like now I'm diverting the conversation. Maybe I should let you finish the Ram story.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, we caught back up, and we can go all over the place, but
yeah.
But the main thing that came out of that conversation that night was that I injected the fact that I had this little record label, and I was doing stuff and releasing some things, and I said, like, look, let's record something. And he said, okay, once we're done with this tour, let's meet back up at New York and we'll do something. And I was like, great. So that's actually what we did. They finished the tour out, and then he called me, and I flew up to New York and stayed at a friend's place, and went in and we recorded a whole album that no one's ever heard. The only track that came out is on that sampler, and then hopefully that's one of the big projects for this year. Hopefully,
yeah, because I remember you talking about this when I met you back in like 2010 or 11.
Yeah, I don't know exactly when we met, but yeah, it's been something that I've been wanting to do, and of course, so many things have happened.
A little over 10 years ago, apparently.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's insane. But it's the way it works. So, Scott Harding, the engineer that I hired to record that, got paralyzed in a hit and run.
Right. Yeah, that's what Martin was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was in the hospital for I think over a year after that, and paralyzed, and it's really heavy duty tragedy. Thank goodness he's alive, and so hopefully we can get back to that project and finish it. It would be great. And what was I going to say? So it's definitely like one of the things I've been trying to get done, but it's difficult. And of course, I've had my health troubles too, and they kind of come and go. And I mean, well, they're present, but like sometimes it becomes more of a struggle or whatever. But so far, like lately, I've been playing more music, and after COVID, been playing live shows again a lot, and that's great. And I've been feeling better most of the time. So
So
that's all great.
what's
And
the
hopefully we
status
can
of
get,
the RAM project? What needs to be done with it?
well,
Does it just needs to be mixed or?
needs to be mixed, and I wanted to add bass parts to some of the songs, and you know, maybe
Nate, you
even
need a bass
plug.
player ever to do that.
Yeah, man.
Just
I
saying.
mean, yeah. Hopefully we can just get it out, listen to it, figure out what needs to be done. I mean, obviously, some bass would be awesome on there, and then Nick scratched on it, and it was Rammellzee plays keyboards on one song, and we didn't know, no one knew he could play keyboard. He just asked to fire up a keyboard. He was like, "This looks nice," and he played like some sort of like spaced out Thelonious Monk style solo on it. It was awesome, and
Nice.
that was, it was a great session, and the songs are really awesome. And he had surprised me. We picked him up in a like a car, service car. You know, I got Nick first, and then we went to go pick up Rammellzee at the battle station, his studio. And so he came out to the car and had like an attaché case with him, and Nick was kind of like, what does he have in there? Like, I don't know, maybe he's brought some instruments or something. And then he got in the car, and he you know, he wanted to sit up front, so we set him up there, and I sat behind him, and he passed this attaché case back to me, and Nick kind of looked at me, and we were like, what is this? You know, what's going to happen now? And I opened it up, and it was full of lyrics. He was like, you know, really inspired. He was excited to record, and it was just completely full of lyrics. And he kind of wanted me to pick out which songs we were going to do or whatever. And one of the first ones I was looking at was called "Receive the Knights of War," and I was like, we have to do that. Like,
I'm sold.
yeah, I was like, this is amazing. And so yeah, so we recorded 9 tracks, and he had me. We had to stop for a beer run on the way, and that was hilarious because we were trying to. I was trying to get him to pick whatever beer he wanted, and then we found the same beer that we had drunk that night in Italy, and so I got him a bunch of those, and he liked that. And I think they were Left. I think that was Left, like the Trappist beer or whatever. I think that's what they were.
Sponsor us.
Well, yeah, yeah. And then so let's see. Yeah, so when we got into the studio, when it was time for him to do lyrics, he made me go in this booth with him, and so I was like sitting in the booth with him because he I guess he wanted like an audience to rap to, you know, and so that was like totally unbelievable, and like an honor and a privilege, you know. So and it was also fun because we were like laughing at the end of tracks and stuff, and he was great. He was like it was totally awesome. We did I pushed him to like get things done, and you know, at the end we listened to rough mixes back that Scott made, and I ordered like Chinese food, and we finished off the beer, and then got him in a car, and we were done, and it was great. And then, you know, a couple of days later, Scott got you know, some kids that had stolen a car, ran into his, like T-boned his cab he was in, and it like severed his spine, I guess. And he was in the hospital for like a really long time, and it's just terrible. And then because it was so delayed, it kind of it just made it was difficult because it was a weird situation. It's like, well, we can't really get the tapes because you know, the guy's in the hospital.
Right.
It was a weird situation, and a really unfortunate situation. And I was trying to like do right for Ram and get this thing done and out, and I still am. You know, it's kind of really strange for me.
Yeah, and I'm not sure of the timeline, but when did he pass away, Ram?
Now I'm not even. I would say it had to be like 2010 or 2012 or something. But I'm terrible at time.
And when was this recorded? In 2006?
So this was probably recorded in I would say it was 2007, probably, maybe even. Well, my album came out I would say it was in 2007,
Mhm.
and then soon after, Scott was paralyzed, and then so there was like nothing. Like it was like, how do we get someone to go in there and get? I mean, how would they even know which files to get or whatever? Because I should have had him copy everything for me that night, but I mean, I was working with a friend. It's like,
Right. Yeah.
and we were gonna like work on it right away. It
Right.
wasn't gonna just sit around for a while. And then so it just got to be this long thing, and Ram got sick, and then he got better, and everything was gonna be fine, and then he died. And that was terrible.
Was
It
that?
seemed
I mean, was that the last recordings he ever did? I know he was on the last Praxis record. I don't know when that was recorded though.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's definitely as far. I would assume it's the only thing he recorded that no one's ever released that I know of myself.
Right.
But and that's why, and so that, yeah, and it's just like I recorded this with the point to like put it out. That was our plan, and that was the other thing. We had bigger plans than just we wanted to put out this album, and then the plan was to tour it and have him with his costumes, and
Yeah.
Nick and I were gonna do, like, I would play guitar with him, and Nick would scratch, and we'd wear the costumes too, or whatever he came up with, and I wanted to try to represent him correctly and get him out there, and support him, and Aliens could support him easily, and just
Mhm.
we just switch over and have him headline. That was kind of like our idea that we hatched in the hotel room there, like.
Right.
Um, and it's unfortunate that it didn't happen, but at least we did record the album, and so I'd really like to get it out there.
I'm hearing the last Praxis was 2008. Has it been that long already? God damn.
So yeah, that would make sense, because I think he got pretty sick like after that. So I think that's right, that we recorded that in 2007. But the main thing is, like, regardless of time of
It's
when it
gonna
was
it's
recorded,
gonna happen.
is that yeah, like I just want people to hear it and hear, like, because the lyrics were great and the song ideas were awesome, and it's Rammellzee. I've never heard anything that he did that I was like, oh, I don't like that or something. It's all amazing, and also that's how the first way I ever was exposed to him was at the end of Wild Style. He's rapping, and his style is so different, and it's really cool, and it's just like, and he's like a kid, it's like, but
Yeah, I
it
gotta
was,
watch that.
so it's such a good performance, and such a cool performance anyway, and
I
like
mean, he must
watching.
have been really young when that came out, right?
Yeah, I would guess he was like 19. I don't know exactly, but I would guess he was a teenager.
Yeah.
And he's holding like a toy rifle and using it to emphasize words and stuff. And I literally think that some hip hop guys in California saw that, and like, I think he was influential partially because of that, but also because the way he used his language was like, it's so different
Yeah.
than all the other people that you see in that film. It's like, just he was unique, and I don't know, it was like a really cool random moments to like be able to meet him and befriend him, and have him say like yes to working with me, like, I mean, he could have easily been like, yeah, this is some tiny little label, like, what the hell are you doing? But he was like, oh, this is cool, and I want to record, and he took that chance, and so I felt really bad about like not being able to get that out while he was alive, and we definitely had arguments about it on the phone and stuff, and it was just such a weird position, it's like, you don't, I don't know, so life is fragile, and you that was the.
So that's the plan for next year.
So yeah, the plan would be that would be the perfect world plan, would be to get that out, and also the other thing with the EP that we just had, the Agorphonic EP, like the idea on that would be to expand that into an album. That's kind of in the plan on that. So those would be the two large project kind of things
Right.
that I would like to get done. So.
Like, share, subscribe.